UFC Fight Night, Kansas City, Garry versus Carlos Prates is this weekend, tomorrow, and I'm going to be giving my entire breakdown and predictions for this entire card. This fight night, this wonderful fight night. You have the Spider-Man blanket in the background. You have the shitty lighting. I'm probably going to stutter 50 times in this video. We're in for a true Fraction MMA banger. Alright. So let's start with the early prelim opener of Chelsea Chandler versus Jocelyn Edwards. Now, Chelsea Chandler, the great Chelsea Chandler, the infamous Chelsea Chandler for what she did. Remember when she would run away in the octagon, back turned, just completely running, and just runs straight into the wall and bounces off, and then just seems dazed and confused. She got hit with one shot and she sprinted like it was the gunshot just went off and it's time for a 100-meter dash. But no. It's a UFC fight. Jocelyn Edwards is going to win this fight. Jocelyn Edwards, on a real note, has fought a lot better competition than Chelsea Chandler. Chelsea Chandler is apparently ranked. I did not know that. I don't know how she's ranked, but she is. I guess. But Jocelyn Edwards, I think, will win this fight by decision. I think that she's better than Chelsea Chandler. I think that she has faced better opposition than Chelsea Chandler. And I also think that she has more skills than Chelsea Chandler. So, yeah. That's it for that prediction. Jocelyn Edwards is going to win this by a shocking 29-28 brutal decision. Moving up the card, Timmy Kawamba versus Roberto Romero. All right, I'm going to pick Roberto Romero on this fight. His last fight was David Onama on, really short notice, maybe less than a week's notice, honestly. I think that might have been a few days' notice for that card on the MSG card. Imagine, 3 days' notice. You're some 8-3-1, low level in terms of you're not in the UFC MMA fighter, and you step up on 3 days, 4 days, whatever it was, notice to fight David Onama, a very good featherweight at MSG. That's crazy. Huge pressure on him, and he hurt David Onama bad, nearly slept him. Roberto Romero nearly became a huge name on the scene if he was able to pull that off. And he would have been on the Mexico card in March and on the Mexico card later in September. So, which he still could be on if he gets a win tonight, or win tomorrow night. Because he is 0-1 in the UFC. He rocked David Onama bad at the beginning of that first fight. Onama was able to recover and won pretty convincingly the final 2 rounds. But it was still a relatively close fight, and Roberto Romero looked very decent. Now on a full camp. Comes back relatively quickly. That was in the middle of November. We're now towards the end of April. Not too long of a layoff. I like that. He just got back to recovering, getting a full camp, and getting back into the swing of things. 5 or 6 months. And a David Onama loss and he's only 25 years old. And a David Onama loss is much better if you're talking about Timmy Kawamba than a loss to Lucas Almeida. I'm not picking the guy who lost to Lucas Almeida. I think Timmy Kawamba is not very good. I think he'll get cut after this performance. I think the loser of this is actually going to get cut. And I think Roberto Romero is going to be more active on the feet. I think he's going to be attacking Timmy Kawamba. He's probably going to try and fire away, and he might try to get a quick finish early. And who knows, we might see that. So I'm going to pick Roberto Romero. I'm going to say second round KO. Moving up the card, Jacqueline Amorim versus Polyana Viana. Yes, fake tits versus BBL. Jacqueline Amorim is going to win by decision. She finished her last fight against Vanessa Demopoulos. That's it's a win. It's a win on her record. Polyana Viana lost her last fight. She hasn't fought since the Sean Strickland Dricus du Plessis card in Canada, the first one last January, 2024. So Polyana Viana hasn't fought in a hot minute. And her last fight, she lost to Jillian Robertson. She got TKO'd by Jillian Robertson. if you're losing by KO to Jillian Robertson, Jillian Robertson's got some decent ground and pound because she has a lot of good ground ability and she'll get you down. But you should not be losing by KO to Jillian Robertson. Let's be honest, Polyana Viana. I'm just going to pick Jacqueline Amorim. She's younger, 9-1, 3-fight win streak, has the momentum. I think she's taking her career more seriously. Polyana Viana, if you know, you know. I don't think she's taking it quite serious, guys. And I think she might be done. But, she's only 32, so she could definitely still be a name, and she could get a win and then get back into the ranked category. But being realistic, I think a 15 months off, I don't like that for you. So I'm going to pick Jacqueline Amorim by decision. She'll get the win, 4-fight win streak. Moving up the card, Malcolm Wallmaker versus Cameron Simon. Ooh, this is going to be a great fight. This is the first fight that I would really care about you tuning in. Because this is a very good card. This is the beginning. These first 6 minutes, you can just kind of fucking piss on it. All right, I don't really care about this part of the video. But now we're getting interesting. Malcolm Wallmaker, Cameron Simon. Cameron Simon's very good. I really like him. I think that he is a true prospect at bantamweight. And I think his last loss to Peyton Tabit, he didn't really try and attack the grappling as much as Raoni Barcelos did. Raoni Barcelos has also fought some of the best. So I think he understands that level of grappling, and he understood Peyton Tabit's issue there. Simon kind of kept it on the feet, and because that's where he has the advantage usually. But Tabit, I think, is too good on the feet, despite his last performance against Barcelos. That didn't show that he's not good off the feet. He just had a big flaw that he has to fix. So we'll see. But I think Cameron Simon, I don't think that loss is really bad to have on your record. I like that he's taken time off since that fight. I mean, that was in March of last year. So now he's 13 months off. I mean, that's a while. But then you do have to think that last fight, that was a brutal one. I mean, he got dropped multiple times in that fight, had a lot of damage on him, and that was just from one round. He got beaten up in that Peyton Tabit fight. He really did. He had his moments here and there, and he would land, and he would look awkward. He's got that South African style that we're seeing now with Drakus, but Cameron Simon's very good. I think he is very, very good. But Malcolm Wallmaker, man. Malcolm Wallmaker's a stud. I think you've seen him on Instagram. I think it's the same guy that I've been talking about, Malcolm Wallmaker. I believe he actually is like a welder or something in his daytime, and then he trains at night. He works a 9 to 5. I'm sure that's true for a lot of people, but yeah, Malcolm the Machine Wallmaker. Wait, I gotta. Yes, yep, that's true. Yeah, he's like a welder in his morning job, his 9 to 5. Then he trains at 6, 7, 8 p.m. And he's got a little bit of a following. He's got 28,000 followers on Instagram. He's got a following. He's got fans. He's 8-0. He's 30. He's in his prime. 8-0. Athletic. This is going to be a really, really hard fight for Cameron Simon. Simon's only 24. He has a lot of time to bounce back. I really hope that if Wallmaker looks good, especially, Simon does not get cut. I mean, I don't think he will because they need him for South Africa, for that market, but I do think that Simon's going to lose this fight. I think Malcolm Wallmaker is really, really good. I might be wrong and Wallmaker might get fraud checked. I think that's really just a case of this fight. I think Cameron Simon is going to look good showing up, and I do think that he'll be good. However, there's two things you can worry about here. One, in terms of if you're Cameron Simon. One, are you going to be as confident going in there from that Peyton Tabit fight? The last time you were in the octagon, you were getting pieced the fuck up and dropped multiple times by a dude who gets dicked down by Frank Ocean, all right? And I like Peyton Tabit. But Cameron Simon, I'm worried. You could worry about the confidence a little bit, but I like that he took time off after that fight specifically. But Malcolm Wallmaker is very good, so it really just depends. How good is Malcolm Wallmaker? What is he going to show this Saturday night? And I think he's going to look really, really good. So I'm going to pick Malcolm Wallmaker by decision. Actually, no. I'm going to say third round KO for Malcolm Wallmaker. TKO maybe. It might just be like he hurts him bad. Simon drops. He finishes him on the ground. Something like that. Like while standing, he's just kind of throwing these little gimpy punches and Simon's just like done. I could see something like that. But Cameron Simon could get the win, man. He is very, very good, and this is going to be a great fight. This is a fantastic fight on the early prelims. Or not the early prelims, but the prelims. You know what I mean. All right, I'm taking too long. I need to move up. Damon Blackshear versus Alan Tegeli. Damon Blackshear is going to win this. I like that every time he wins by, like, submission, he gets in there, like, a month after. I mean, he did that not too long ago, just a couple years ago against, he fought on the Apex card, like, the week before the Boston card with O'Malley and Sterling headlining it. People forget, man. Damon Blackshear stepped up on, like, a week's notice and fought Mario Bautista and damn near fucking beat him. So, that was a fun fight. And that impressed me in Damon Blackshear. Now, his last performance was not great, to be brutally honest, against Cody Gibson. He was getting absolutely outclassed on the feet by Cody Gibson. He looked so much better in the Mario Bautista fight. I'm hoping that Damon Blackshear goes in there, and, like, Bautista won, but it was relatively close. Blackshear had his moments, and he had good anti-grappling, and he's got very high grappling skills. His striking needs to get a lot better, though. So I do worry about that a little bit, but I do think that he's a lot better than Alan Tegeli, and I don't think that Alan Tegeli is going to get this one done. I think Damon Blackshear, by submission, second round, book it. Moving up the card. Chris Gutierrez versus John Castaneda. Sorry, I was burping. Burping up I don't know what I ate today. I can't pick Chris Gutierrez in Big 2025, man. I just can't. I really can't. He doesn't, like, do anything on the feet, if you know what I mean. Like, he's just not memorable. This guy doesn't really go out and finish you. He doesn't go out and, like, put a beating on you with, like, this really mean 1-2 that he's got or this mean hook. No, he just kind of chips away at you with his brutal calf kick. I bet he learned it from Benson Henderson. People forget, man. Benson Henderson created the calf kick. He's the first really one that, like, implemented it. That was, like, the first time I saw it. Yeah, I don't know. This fight was supposed to be booked for, the Vegas card, Pereira and Ankalaev, but, Pereira, I believe it was, like, Castaneda, something was off with him. He weighed in at, like, 140. They had a catch weight. They were going to fight at 140. Now they're just fighting at featherweight. Even though they're both bantamweights, I guess they're fighting at featherweight now. This got rebooked onto this card. I'm going to pick John Castaneda. I don't know. I just have more confidence in him. Chris Gutierrez has looked really poor, I feel like, in his recent performances. He's gone with guys that are very, very good, so I think that's fair. God, my hair is all over the place, isn't it? Chris Gutierrez has been in there with good guys, and yeah, I mean, he went 5 rounds with Song Yadong. People forget, man, but I think Gutierrez is kind of done. I don't really think he's got a lot left in the tank. I think Castaneda's got a little bit more left in the tank. I like him up the weight class more than Gutierrez. I think Gutierrez, he looks like he weighs about 150. Like, there's no way he's cutting that much unless he's bulked up for this fight, but I don't think he has. John Castaneda was the one who missed weight originally and is already, like, you can tell he's, like, a little bit, you know, he's a little bit bulkier. Gutierrez is taller, but he's small dude. Castaneda's got a little more muscle on him. He's kind of got that Josh Emmett build, like, if you look at, like, his chest. But I think John Castaneda is going to get this one done. I could see him firing away on the inside in the boxing exchanges. And I think he's going to be, you know, trying to implement takedowns and being more active. And I just think that he's going to do more than Chris Gutierrez. And I think that's really all you have to do to beat him. So I'm going to pick John Castaneda. I'm going to say by decision. Nothing too impressive. I don't really think this is going to be a great fight, to be honest. Moving up the card. Evan Elder versus Gage Young. Okay, so this was supposed to be Evan Elder versus sorry, I forgot his name. I don't even want to say his name. He doesn't deserve it. Ahmed Hassanzadeh or something. Something like that. I'm not going to say his name because of what I'm about to tell you. If you didn't already learn this information, I'm sure a lot of you did if you're watching this channel. the guy who's supposed to fight, Evan Elder, dude off Dana White's Contender Series, got arrested, or no, got accused and got charged. I gotta be careful. He allegedly had sexual abuse of a minor, some stuff going on. All right, going on. Yeah, not very good there. Not very good there. He got cut. Thank God. That scum does not belong in the UFC. And yeah, so this is on like 5 days notice, guys. Gage Young, what a segue. Gage Young is stepping up on like 5 days notice. Oh, they got his picture updated. I recorded this yesterday, and it was a piece of shit when I rewatched it, so I'm not uploading it. So I'm recording this one, and I'm recording it the next day. And they didn't have Gage Young's picture on the UFC app. Now they do for the matchup. Just by looking at him, Evan Elder's going to win. I don't know. I'm going to pick Evan Elder just because he's coming off a win recently by submission. He's more active on the feet. He's kind of tippy-tappy a little bit. He doesn't have a lot of power in his shots. What I think is going to happen is Gage Young is going to go for an early finish, coming in on short notice, the 8-2, 9-2, regional MMA guy. He's going to step up, and he's going to, not have a full camp's worth of cardio likely. So he's probably going to go in there and look to try and KO you in the first round. And Evan Elder isn't the best of opponents, so I really would not be shocked if he goes out there and does it. But I think Evan Elder is good enough to avoid a finish in the first round. I think he might get hurt, but I think he could recover. This could actually end up a lot like the Onama and Romero fight. And then second rounds, Elder kind of coasts, taps away with leg kicks, his jab, and picks away and gets a 29-28 decision. I could see something like that happening. So that's what I'm going to say. Evan Elder, 29-28, UD, maybe split. We'll see. Moving up the card to the prelim headliner, Matt Schnell versus Jimmy Flick in Big 2025. Man, this is a great matchup. Ugh. God, who the fuck am I going to pick here? They're both terrible at this point in their career. Matt Schnell was supposed to retire after his Cody Durden loss. He retired, and now he's back. I guess he's broke. Jimmy Flick is 34. I mean, they're just both so fucking old. Here's what I'll say. Matt Schnell is decent anti-grappling. Cody Durden's a much better grappler than Jimmy Flick, in my mind. Jimmy Flick is going to really not focus on the striking. He's going to want to go for a takedown. I think Matt Schnell will do a better job of defending that takedown. And you know what? I'm picking Matt Schnell. I know I shouldn't pick Matt Schnell because he's probably going to fucking get KO'd brutally. But I think that Jimmy Flick has no fucking power. I think he's going to go for the wrestling. He's going to be kind of avoiding the feet. Matt Schnell is a decent technical boxer. He doesn't have a lot. He doesn't have much else, and he doesn't have really any power. But he's got a tiny bit of power, but nothing really. He's not, he's not that a high level flyweight. I think Matt Schnell will win this though by decision. I could see him surviving Jimmy Flick, the ruthlessness of Jimmy Flick, guys. Oof. No, I'm. It's not a terrible fight. I just think Matt Schnell's gonna get it done. I just have a gut feeling he's not gonna get chinned to this fight, and maybe he'll come back and then he'll fight they'll give him some fucking terrible name and he'll get absolutely fucking brutalized. So hopefully not, but I'm gonna pick Matt Schnell by decision. Moving up the card. All right, we're gonna run through these a little bit more here. We got 6 fights left. Ikram Aliskerov versus Andre Muniz. Okay. Aliskerov fought Whitaker last June, and people forget, man, people were like, he stepped up on 3 days notice. What did you expect? Obviously, he didn't know he was fighting Robert Whitaker. But I believe he was fighting Jun Young Park, if I'm correct, on the fight night. It was an Apex fight night the week before. He was supposed to fight in the co-main event of that card. They pulled him from it to replace Hamza on a week's notice or whatever. So he had a full camp for the Whittaker fight. He just wasn't able to prepare for Whittaker the same way Whittaker wasn't able to prepare for Aliskerov, but massive difference in skill there. That's why Whittaker did what he did in that fight. Aliskerov is not bad by any means. His 2 losses in his MMA career are to Khamzat Chimaev and Robert Whittaker. No shame in that. Aliskerov, he got rushed to the top too quick. I feel like in the UFC in general, he won 1 fight and then got matched up with Paulo Costa, and that fight nearly happened. People forget, man. But Paulo Costa pulled out because he was like, I just don't want to fight him. And then the UFC were like, okay. Like, they ride Paulo's dick so hard, and he's still not fighting. Apparently, he has a fight booked for International Fight Week, but how are we going to know? We're not getting the announcement anytime soon. The UFC gave the 318 announcement today. No one is talking about it because we already knew the main event. They just announced Holloway versus Poirier for 318 for the BMF. And they're like, no one gives a shit. They're like, oh my God. And everyone's like, can you announce the Ilya fight now? Like, oh, whatever. But yeah, Andre Muniz used to, people forget, man. All right, I need to stop saying that, but it's true. People forget. Andre Muniz was supposed to be the future of the middleweight division. All right. Now, was he very good? Not really. He's all right, and he's a good fighter, and I believe he won his last fight by split to Jun Park. Yeah, he did. The Iron Turtle, I believe is his nickname. But he hasn't fought since December of 2023. Almost a year and a half off. He's 35 now. He must have had injury. I haven't been looking at his career. Aliskerov, I like the time he took off from last June, getting that KO. It was kind of embarrassing. 40 seconds or whatever, how long it took. I like the time he took off, recover, get ready for the next fight. Andre Muniz, not a terrible matchup. Muniz obviously has high submission ability. He's going to want to get you down. He's going to want to submit you. That's what he does. He got submitted by Brendan Allen. Brendan Allen's a really good grappler. There's really not that much shame in that. He kind of got thrown to the top, Muniz did. But I think Aliskerov, also coming where he is coming from, he's probably going to have good anti-grappling. And he has shown that he's a good grappler. I mean, we already somewhat know this from his past MMA career. He's just not. He's a striker first. That is what he is. He is a striker. Don't get it twisted. Ikram Aliskerov is a striker. Now, will Muniz get him down? I think he'll get him down. I don't think he'll submit Aliskerov. I think Aliskerov will get taken down at some point in this fight, but he will keep it on the feet. And when he keeps it on the feet, he will put out Andre Muniz in the first 2 rounds. I'm going to say second round KO, Ikram Aliskerov. He gets back on the win train, and we can start talking about more matchups for him. But I just think he's too good on the feet for Andre Muniz. And I think he has enough anti-grappling to defend his takedowns. So that's all I'm going to say. I think he gets him in a flurry up against the cage and puts down Andre Muniz. Maybe puts him out cold, honestly. Yeah, second round KO win for Ikram Aliskerov. Moving up the card. Randy Brown versus Nicholas Dalby. I'm not going to take too long on this one. Randy Brown's going to win. Nicholas Dalby's 40 years old. 5'11". Randy Brown is about 6'3". Now, I'm a big Brian Battle fan. I thought Randy Brown may have won that last fight, guys. It was pretty close. It wasn't like a robbery because both guys kind of put on a shit performance, I won't lie. But it was very, very close. But you could say Randy Brown won. I could definitely understand why you did. So, and Randy Brown was supposed to fight Carlos Prates, man. Like the month before. People forget. It was supposed to be Randy Brown versus Carlos Prates, I think at MSG, if I'm not crazy. But no, and then it got canceled. Odd. To make the Brown versus Battle fight. I don't know what happened, but it was Brown versus Prates at first, but whatever. Brown hasn't fought since that loss. That was in December on the Vegas card, on the Vegas pay-per-view. Very, very close. Didn't take too long off. Nicholas Dalby hasn't fought since the Saudi Arabia card last year. We had the really close decision of Renat Fakhretdinov, which you could say Nicholas Dalby won. Renat Fakhretdinov is not that good. In my personal opinion. He's good, but he's not going to be a high-level ranked welterweight. He just isn't. He has so many bad decisions on his record, and it's really embarrassing. Like, at this point in his career, he always is robbing people, and obviously he can't control that. But his record shouldn't be whatever it is right now. It just shouldn't be. Dalby's 40. I just don't see him winning this fight against Randy Brown. Randy Brown coasts decisions like it's fucking taking a nap. Like, that's exactly what he does. He will coast a decision on you. He did it against Nico Price, the old shit, and he's about to do it against Nicholas Dalby, the old shit. Easy. 29-28, maybe 30-27. Randy Brown lands 40 significant strikes and gets the W by decision. Brutal. Moving up the card. Now, these are the really good fights. Michel Pereira versus Abu Magomedov. This is going to be fucking awesome. If you do not know, this is my if you know, now you know. If you don't know, now you know fight. Michel Pereira versus Abu Magomedov is going to be a fucking war from the bell. Michel Pereira is going to walk out there, and he's going to, the bell's going to ring, and he's probably going to sprint at Abu Magomedov and try and land a flying kick to the face or some bullshit. He's going to do something. And then Abu Magomedov will slip it and will probably stand there, and then he'll throw a 6-punch combination to your head. Both of these guys, in the early stages of the fight, are going to try and take your head off. That's how this goes with both of these guys. Michel Pereira, the difference with him, though, is that he gasses out after about 2 exchanges, while Abu gasses out in about the late second, early third. Abu Magomedov beat Bruno Ferreira in his last fight. That is a fantastic win. I believe that was his last fight. Yeah, he submitted Bruno Ferreira. That was a great win on the Abu Dhabi card. Now, Michel Pereira lost to Fluffy in an embarrassing performance in the week before in the main event, where he got fucking just embarrassed. 2 exchanges, and Michel Pereira, 1 minute in, completely gassed, throwing shots like a UFC 5 fighter with no fucking stamina. It was sad. It was embarrassing. Yeah, and Abu Magomedov's performance recently was great. This is going to be a great fight. Abu Magomedov's, I believe, his only loss in the UFC is to Sean Strickland. He stepped up for that main event. They gave him a quick fight into the rankings because his last name is Magomedov, of course. He won the first round, and he is a good prospect. Won the first. Completely gassed out in the second. He's kind of worked on his cardio, you can tell, but it's still not great. Still not great. He looked tired in the Bruno Ferreira fight, but he still got the win. That shows me something. You can beat Bruno Ferreira in the later rounds when you're a guy who generally gasses out. I think that's a really, really great win for Abu Magomedov. So I'm going to pick him in this fight, and I'm going to say by second round KO, to be honest. I think he puts Michel Pereira out in the second round. Now, Michel Pereira is always danger on the feet. A lot of the reason he got so gassed out was because he had to keep defending the grappling exchanges that Fluffy puts on you, and Fluffy's got arguably the best cardio in the middleweight division besides Drakus. Maybe not the best, but he's up there in terms of middleweight ranked cardio. In terms of any middleweight fighter, Fluffy is probably top 3 in terms of cardio. But yeah, I'm going to say Abu Magomedov gets this one done by KO. Michel Pereira could absolutely finish him in the first round. I don't think he finishes him at any other point in the fight. So that's why I'm going to pick Abu. More possibilities for him to win. Moving up the card, Giga Chikadze versus David Onama. Okay, so Giga Chikadze missed weight today by a pound. He's still going to fight. Lost 20% of his purse. 147. I don't like that for him. Now that he's 36. I was already, debating on who to pick in this fight. By my logic and my morality, I would pick Giga Chikadze because I don't think David Onama is really that good. He's very good in terms of unranked territory. I don't think he's a top 10 level featherweight, and Giga Chikadze had a really close fight with Arnold Allen. I think Giga's better. I do worry with his frame, he just looks like a guy who's going to get brutally fucking slept. I mean, he just does. Will he, we'll see. He doesn't really get, brutally slept that often, obviously. He's a fantastic kicker. He's going to be trying to keep Onama at range and just fucking blasting body kicks up the middle. He'll throw a flying knee if you crash inside. I mean, that's what he nearly KO'd Arnold Allen with in the first round. But he still lost that fight. He's 36 now. He missed weight. Losing some of his purse, even if he gets the win, it's going to hurt his mentality going into this fight a little bit. And I was already debating on to pick Onama because Onama's a beefy dude. He's stronger than Giga. He might try and attack the takedowns in this fight. Don't be shocked. He does have a grappling advantage over Giga, but Giga's a good at defending takedowns. I think Giga Chikadze is better than David Onama. But I honestly... This is a really hard fight to predict because it's either going to be I pick Onama and then Giga goes out there and puts on a vet schooling like a Rob Font did to Kyler Phillips not too long ago, and I'm going to look like a fucking idiot. Or I'm going to pick Onama, or I'm going to pick Chikadze, and then he gets like fucking broken out there like Vicente Luque against Joaquin Buckley, and I'm just the biggest fucking idiot on YouTube. So, nothing really great. I'm going to go with the safer guy. I'm going to go with Giga. I'm going to go with the experience. I'm going to go with the skill. I think he's just a lot better than David Onama. If I'm going purely off skill, I think he'll keep Onama at range on the feet, and I think he'll be firing away kicks all night, as he always does. And I think he can keep Onama enough at a range to where his grappling's not going to be able to do enough, and unless Onama can get in and crash in while Giga's, stepping back, throwing one of these kicks with his chin up in the air, maybe, Onama can catch him over the top. But that's really his only chance. So I'm going to pick Giga Chikadze, and I'm going to say by decision. Moving up the card. Co-main event, Anthony Smith versus Zhang Mingyang. Woo! Zhang Mingyang is back, baby. Big fucking Zhang. Mingyang madness, cuh. Sorry. I'm so white. I apologize. Zhang Mingyang is going to win this by second round KO. He's not going to keep the first round KO streak, guys. He's not going to do it. Anthony Smith will do enough to not get brutally KO'd early. What Anthony Smith will do. Now, Anthony Smith's only way to victory is if Zhang Mingyang knocks him down, tries to get into his guard for ground and pound, and Anthony Smith catches him in a triangle, or Zhang Mingyang just suddenly becomes... whoever that Vitor Petrino shoots in on a double leg with his head outside the waist and gets guillotined. Guillotined, to be exact. I say guillotined sometimes. I don't know. I'm goofy like that, guys. Zhang Mingyang's going to win this by second round KO. I think the first round, when Zhang Mingyang gets in there, he dictates the pace. He starts the fight firing away, and that's why he's finished all of his wins by first round KO. So, I think it's possible that he does it again. Anthony Smith is chinnable. He's, if you have enough power, which I think Zhang Mingyang does have enough power. I mean, Khalil Roundtree did it to Anthony Smith. I think Zhang Mingyang is on that level of power. I do. I think he's very, very good. His level of opponents have been a lot lower than Anthony Smith's recently. Anthony Smith's last fight was against Dominic Reyes, where he should have retired based on that performance. But Reyes just beat Krylov, man. I mean, you can't judge all of these losses of Anthony Smith because then, Khalil Roundtree went on and put on a hell of a performance against Alex Pereira, despite still losing the fight. And, I mean, that fight was... We all know how that fight went. We all have it engraved in our memory because that fight was amazing and so tense. Because he's exciting and he's not Merab. And then, Smith lost to Reyes, and Reyes just put out Krylov and is now, 1 or 2 fights away from a title shot. And then, I mean, who else did he lose to? He beat Vitor Petrino. I mean, that's, whatever. But who else did he beat? I mean, he's beaten guys. And the guys he's lost to have gone on and looked good against the top of the division. So I don't know if I can really completely count out Anthony Smith here, but if I'm going to be brutally honest, what's probably going to happen is Zhang Mingyang will drop him in the first, and then He'll go for a finish, and Anthony Smith will grab his leg, hold on, and then once Zhang gets a little tired and stops throwing, Anthony Smith will go 2-on-1 wrist control and will not get finished and will just get kind of beaten up the entire round. And then the second round will start. Zhang Mingyang will push the pace once again. He'll get in that position again. He'll decide, all right, fuck this guy. I'm getting back up. He gets back up, and I think in the middle of the second round, he will make Anthony Smith do the chicken dance, just like Khalil Roundtree did, and he will finish him. Anthony Smith in his retirement fight, I think it'll probably be more a little bit like Zhang Mingyang will hurt him bad, and Smith will clearly be rocked, and Mingyang will probably land like a glancing right hand or something, or a glancing left hook that kind of just like gets close enough to Smith to like feel the impact of it, and he'll fall. And then finishing sequence, Zhang Mingyang gets it done. Second round KO, doesn't keep the streak, but still keeps the KO streak, and will be a ranked light heavyweight after this weekend. Anthony Smith, get out of here, you're retired. Moving up the card, Ian Machado Garry versus Carlos Prates, the main event. Okay. Now, I said on this channel, when this fight got announced, that I think Carlos Prates might get fraud checked. Ian Garry might do it, guys. He is a little bit resembling of the style that could beat a Carlos Prates. He's going to dance around. He's going to pick at you with shots. Ever since Ian Garry became a high-level ranked fighter, ever since the Neil Magny fight, he has become this decisionator. He has become this guy who's going to stick you on the outside, and he's not going to be super active. He's going to wait for you to do something stupid and catch you. He's going to wait for you to put yourself against the cage, and then he's going to take you down and get your back and try to submit you. Ian Garry is a smart fighter, and he's a great fighter. He's delusional, but he's a great fighter. And this is a really good matchup for him. I mean, Carlos Prates is a guy who can get gassed super easily from just the information that we know about him, obviously. You know, he smokes cigarettes. Those can come back and bite him in the ass. It's his first 5-round fight in the UFC, at least. I don't know if he's had any others in his career, but probably not. But Prates is, first 5-round fight in the UFC, completely different. Ian Garry, high-level guy. Now, Ian Garry does have flaws that play into Prates' strengths, which is why I'm going to pick Carlos Prates by KO. Ian Garry, he will back himself up against the cage comfortably. You cannot be comfortable against the cage against Carlos Prates. Because, yeah, there's guys that move forward, and Jeff Neal does that, but Jeff Neal has more success when he's in the middle of the cage, in the boxing exchanges. He likes to get in the boxing range in the middle. He's not like a guy, obviously if he's putting you up against the cage, he will finish you that way. But generally, Jeff Neal's success comes from the middle of the octagon, and he never had that with Ian Garry, because Ian Garry just bounced around on the outside. And he's got very, very good lateral movement. Now, Jeff Neal does not have the octagon control that Carlos Prates or any of the fighting nerds do. All of the fighting nerds have amazing octagon control. The aura they have. It's real. I'm not even being corny, bro. It translates into the octagon. It's true. Like, we see it firsthand with these guys. They go in there, this confidence that radiates off them, the way they fight, how slow and just, like, methodical. They don't rush anything. That's going to be really good for Carlos Prates. Ian Garry loves a fighter who tries to rush in on the right hand because they can't land on him. I don't think Carlos Prates is going to do that. I think he will stay calm. I think once he gets Ian Garry against the cage, he will have his octagon control where he'll be bouncing on either side of Garry. Garry will try to move out laterally one way, and then Prates will, contain that side. He's like got you there, almost like a DB, and then he's in football, and then he's just going to fucking pin you against the cage and go after you. And he's going to try and land that big fucking blow that's going to put your head off. Carlos Prates is at a full camp, plus an additional 2 weeks to understand that he's got a 5-round fight instead of a 3-round fight. Different style matchups, that is an issue. But honestly, I don't think Jeff Neal was the best style matchup for him. I think this is similar height, I think works in favor of Carlos Prates. I think shorter opponents might be an issue of his. Now, there are guys who've looked good against Carlos Prates and have landed on Carlos Prates. Charles Radke landed a good amount of strikes on Carlos Prates. Trevin Giles was beating him before he got KO'd. But that's how it always ends with him. It was always, well, they look good until they got slept. And this isn't Ashara Magomedov who's fighting bums, okay? Who's fighting Antonio Tricoli, and then all of a sudden we're like, oh my god, he's the next thing at middleweight. He decisions Mikhail Oleksiejczuk, and we're like, holy shit, he's next. This is it was the Arman Petrosian fight that really did it. But again, that's Arman Petrosian. Carlos Prates has put out Li Jingliang, the Leech. No one puts out the Leech. He put him out cold. He put out Neil Magny out fucking cold. Not everyone has left Neil Magny out cold. You should, but he did it in the first round with a broken foot. He's finished, knocking out Trevin Giles. Trevin Giles is very good. Charles Radke is a very decent welterweight. I like his level of opponents a lot more than other prospects. He's fought, I think, 4 very good fighters. This is his hardest fight for sure, but I think he's going to show up and get it done. I'm picking Carlos Prates, second round KO. Now, if he gets past the 3rd, 4th round, it is going to get worse for him, and it's Ian Garry's fight to lose. But I've seen Carlos Prates in the 2nd round put on a hell of a pace with the Leech, taking shots from him, and going as fast as he did at the beginning of the round, at the beginning of the 1st, as he did getting towards the end of the 2nd against the Leech. So, I think he's got a little bit of sneaky cardio. I think that he can get into the 3rd round and succeed. Past that is what's going to be concerning for Carlos Prates. So, I think it's going to be a finish early. I think Carlos Prates gets it done. I can't pick against him. If Ian Garry goes out there and proves me wrong, I understand it. I could see why he wins. This is a very, very great fight. Watch it. The card's awesome. First time in Kansas City since Holloway and Allen. Pretty interesting. All right. Little fun fact there before we dip. That's it. I will upload my reaction to UFC 317 news if we get that soon. And UFC 318, I might, we'll see. I don't fucking know. I have a lot of stuff going on soon, guys, for school. So we're getting to the end here. All right. That'll be it. Goodbye.